This meeting is being recorded.
Microaggression. I've heard this mentioned as both meaningful and meaningless, depending on the attitudes and the experience of the speaker. So I connected with my good friend Phil Williams to help me understand. Uh, by the way, how much better would all of us be and do if we asked the question, can you help me understand? I'll come back to that. Phil is black. I'm not. He's one of the smartest, kindest, and most transparent people I know. Um, After he led me through some of his experience, I believe, I, I hope I'm closer to understanding this concept of microaggression and can better feel the truth of this kind of interaction. I'm not going to offer up a definition, but simply suggest that unlike a microaggression, you, Kami, that's macro aggression, actually. The micro kind can be a misunderstanding and clueless, and it can be about intolerance. We trespass because we didn't see a sign which may be invisible to us, but glaringly obvious to the other, or when we throw out a deliberate dog whistle. The former we can learn from if we're open enough to examine our prejudice. The latter we can't because we aren't. What if there's an alternative to microaggression? A moment when we interact, often with a stranger, and find ourselves connected by a glancing moment, a glancing pass, a micro intimacy. This spring, on my way to a grocery store, into a grocery store, I suppose, I noticed a woman of some years, like me. That's a polite way to say older. She had her hand on a grocery cart and she looked like she was pulling and it was stuck. So I offered to help. She gave me a huge grin and said, I'm just waiting for all these damn people to get out of the way. What could have landed as a microaggression, something had to do with the assumption of weakness based on age. I had to help her because clearly she's an old woman, so therefore she's frail. And my understanding is that that's a microaggression. We had a micro intimacy. We connected with our shields down and with an assumption of goodwill instantly, though momentarily closer. As far as I know, I haven't seen her since. So here's another micro intimacy story. It's the same store actually. Maybe it's a micro intimacy chain. I was in the store looking for a very small amount of Miracle Grow, the plant food, for some planting Hope, my wife, and I were doing. The first employee I asked by the flowers wasn't sure what the product was, but behind me came a voice. We used to carry it, but we don't anymore. Don't know why. So she held up her finger like this, which I'm fond of doing. Can you hold on for 1 second? And she looked around the store for a minute, and then you could see the light bulb go off, and she motioned me to follow her to the little station where they trim and arrange the flowers. She took a disposable glove out of the drawer, a bag of the plant food, and filled the glove by pouring some in, and then she tied the glove off and she handed it to me with a huge smile. That's how micro intimacy works. Consider the idea that we need more opportunities to connect. A default setting opened up in part by the distance produced by the pandemic and the heightened desire for at least a moment's sense of safety and a shared understanding, no matter how small. How much, I have to rustle my pages here, bear with me. How much would change if we asked people's names when we're checking out with our purchase or waiting for a class to start? Try investing in a moment of non boilerplate, interested conversation, an invitation to connection. For instance, how are you doing is really more of a greeting than a question. So instead of saying something like, sure is hot today, try this. Did it feel this hot when you were a kid? It's like I did with Phil. Can you help me understand the temperature? And can you just take a moment to help me understand you? I know it's actually pretty simple. So for me, I had to overcome my shyness to initiate this. I test as an introvert. I also am shy, and I have a stutter. So for a good part of my life, approaching people, even people who were my friends, has always had a little alarm in it. And now I realize that this micro intimacy demonstrates trust. It's the dropping of shields. It demonstrates courage, and it demonstrates interest. And I suggest that interest, real interest, is the invitation to intimacy, a word which really in its base means to make familiar. And it's not being interesting that protects us from being boring. It's about being interested. When I am interested, I am interesting. I mean, how's that for a bonus? So thanks for listening to my Substack. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. You can subscribe for free and receive new posts, and it helps support my work, and I'll be happy. Thank you.